What do you think it is that attracts most people to experiences like this?
As our world gets crazier and crazier, people are looking for peace. And people find peace through nature, and they find peace through their loved ones. And so the concept of putting those two together in a romantic getaway is what I'm betting on. So the business of Stargazing Homes, we're a tiny home manufacturing company that focuses on short-term rentals. So we help investors from buying the home to starting their short-term rental business and everywhere in between. Our first Airstream, we had a family come in, and phenomenal family. They stayed for 3 nights. Husband messages me 2 days later and says, "Thanks, man." And I go, "Yeah, no problem. Like, thanks so much for staying with us." He goes, "No. For the last 10 years, me and my wife been kind of struggling on and off. And for first time in that last 10 years, I saw my wife able to drink a glass of wine and just relax. And it re-sparked their marriage. And nostalgia is what we're trying to sell and what we're trying to create in our properties for other people."
Right now, there is at least one person in the audience who wants to do what you do, but they don't know if they can do it. How do you deal with self-doubt?
This is how I see it. Doubt comes from a lack of education. Education contains words. Words can be defined. If you know exactly what to do, then you won't have self-doubt. And if you don't know how to do it, then you have to learn it.
What is the biggest takeaway that you want my listeners to have from listening to this conversation?
Take the risk.
Welcome to the Sacred Thomas Podcast.
All right, sitting down with Lexington Isham. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. It's good. We had a fun couple of last days. So it's
Yeah,
good.
man. You got a chance to. I got a chance to see what you're doing, man. It's been freaking amazing. Like I'm over here in the wilderness looking at different. I want to call them Airbnbs. They're not Airbnbs. They're like
Short-term rental vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what you do.
Yeah. Little pivot that I've done. I started in marketing and film, and that's where we kind of met each other. Yeah. And then COVID happened, and I kind of looked back, and I read a couple finance books and realized I need to get into an industry that does residual income.
Yeah.
And so I loved the idea of doing like an ad campaign for a client, right? We would produce a 60-second spot. We'd run it on socials as an ad, and it would last like a month or two, and then it's gone. And we would spend so much time working on ad, and it would go away. And I was like, I want to be able to develop something that I can spend that month or two working on, or even longer, and then it continues to pay me after that.
I love that, man.
That's what led me to short-term rentals.
Yeah. So what is Stargazing Homes?
So backtrack a little bit is when I started getting into short-term rental vacations, I bought land in Joshua Tree, bought land in Arizona, and started basically figuring out what short-term rentals were. We started with an Airstream. I grew that and then built it up to 7 units, mixtures of Airstreams, tiny homes. And the stars in Arizona were so immaculate that I was like, that's a really good branding because it's a free amenity. It's a free experience that I don't have to pay for and the guests don't have to pay for. And so if I just develop the brand around stargazing, then I could not only develop a brand and marketing aspect around it, but I can develop a experience for our homes that allows us to profit off of something that is a free amenity. And Airbnb reached out to us, ended up licensing a photo from us from one of our tiny homes. And I looked back and I was like, so we basically have a tiny home in Arizona next to the Grand Canyon, and Airbnb reached out, paid us a good lump sum of money and said, I want the license. I want to own this photo. And we said, yeah, that's fine. And so after the excitement died down, I looked back and I said, well, who's profiting off this? Airbnb is, because they obviously get the content for their own marketing purposes. And then the manufacturing company that built the tiny home. Nothing went back to our listing. Nothing went back to our company. There was no branding in the photo. And so there was no intellectual property that I could basically capitalize off of. And that's what led me to say, I need to design a product that is my staple, and that anytime someone comes and takes a photo of the product, the intellectual property goes back to the brand. And it was a mind shift for me, in a sense of developing a product that allowed me to own the intellectual property of. And that's what Stargazing Homes is. It's a tiny home on wheels. It is 28 by 8.5 feet. It's 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. And the whole thing is pretty much, we threw in as much glass and windows as possible.
That's awesome. I love that. I definitely need to come out there and stay.
Yeah, anytime.
We both know that success it's not a linear path. You know, there's going to be hills, valleys, all types of things. What drives you?
It's a good question.
Actually, take me back to the beginning. How? Because I know you as the video guy. How do you get from being a director, a filmmaker? How do you go from that to building tiny homes?
It started with personal finances. I realized that I was illiterate when it came to personal finances, and I didn't understand how wealth was built. And I have an interesting relationship with wealth and money in general. And for me, it's a tool to store of energy, right? So it allows me to do things that I'm passionate about. And for me, it's a really good just acknowledgement of the services and products that I put into the world. And so when I was doing marketing, it was very contractual. And then that contract ended after the project was done. So if we had a client that paid us for an ad campaign, we would get the money or a sum of it up front, do the work, get the rest after we're done. And then it's done, right? And then you have that lump sum of money, and then you then have to go fishing again. And I wanted to basically, instead of a single pull, catch a fish, eat the fish, reel a line out again, I wanted to put a net that just kept on capturing fish. And so the idea of making my money work for me and not stop going to bars and spending money and stop going to clubs and spending money. And so it was really getting the idea of understanding what money is was the first barrier for me. And then once I understood it, it was, okay, what can I use my assets for? And I was like, what am I good at? I'm good at taking photos. I'm good at video. I'm good at showcasing a property. And so that's what led me to short-term rentals. So you have real estate, right? Which is an asset class in itself. And there's tons of things you do in real estate. You can do long-term, you can do short-term, you can do arbitrage, you could do tons of different things to build wealth in real estate. And what led me to short-term was that I was understanding what I'm good at. And it was being able to shoot a property and market a property. And so I built so many other people's brands for them from a marketing standpoint. I was like, why can't I just do this for myself? And that's what led me to take an asset class and then take my strength and my skill set and try to marry them.
Well, and you can tell me if I'm going too deep, but you know, I know you a little bit, and I don't think you always had the mindset to do this.
In what sense?
Well, no, I take that back. You've always had the mindset, but you weren't in a place where you were struggling with something in the past.
Yeah. I mean, regarding alcohol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you're, what, 2.5 years sober. Super proud of you.
Thanks, man.
How has getting rid of alcohol helped propel you forward?
Yeah, it's interesting. My relationship with alcohol is I think everyone who drinks has a relationship with alcohol, and it was not. I never used alcohol as something that I needed to like I was never waking up and drinking. But I was like a social drinker. So if the boys were going out drinking, I'm there. And I never understood the point of having a drink. And so I'm very competitive. And so whatever I'm in or doing, I want to be the best at. Yeah. And so if the game is to go out to a bar and drink and pick up girls, I want to be the best at. Right. And so that's when we met. We were in Tiger Kingdom, and that was like probably the lowest point of my life, in the sense of just the abuse of alcohol and being in a position where I was in effect, and the mindset shift of changing from being in effect to be at cause was something that I needed to overcome and learn. And I think that once I realized the game I was playing was very detrimental to the goals I wanted to achieve, it took me to write out the goals that I wanted, and then everything I was doing to enhance those goals and then detract from those goals, and everything that was detracting from, I got rid of. So being promiscuous, drinking, going to bed late, because I looked at my productivity from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. Or 12 a.m. and it wasn't as productive as the rest of my day. So I was like, if I'm asleep by 9, then I can wake up earlier and be more productive. Also, the best thing, I looked at all the times that I was doing things that I didn't like that I was doing, drinking, being promiscuous, and anything regarding the things I wasn't enjoying was happening after 9 p.m. So if I'm asleep, I can't do those things.
That's smart. And it's so crazy that you this is a struggle that I feel like most people in the West, at least, go through. I'm not saying everyone's an alcoholic, but it's social drinking, period. At the end of the day, it holds us back from our potential 100%. Because
I think it's the game you want to play in life. Because I think that some people are happy with just a 9 to 5, go home, crack open some beers and hang out with your wife and watch TV and play video games, and that's happiness for people. And I'm not knocking that.
Yeah.
And so some people, that's like, dude, I'm happy living that life, and that's the American dream for me. It was just not for me. No, it wasn't my passion.
I feel that. And I don't want to knock that either, but at least in my experience, I have a lot of friends that they do lead that life, and they're not happy with it, and they do want to do something to change it, but you did. So what do you think it is that clicked in you that made you make that change and actually propel you forward to build this business? And yeah, what do you think was it? What do you think it was in you that made you make that change?
Realizing what I want in life.
Yeah.
Again, I'm competitive, so it's like when I stopped drinking, I made the decision to stop drinking, and I never had a sip of alcohol again. And I like it cold turkey in a day for me. And so it was what propelled me to make that change was realizing okay. So I think I've been extremely blessed in my life, and I grew up in a very, very privileged life, from like literally everything, from parents to being born a white straight male. I mean, like there's not a lot of things that I had to overcome in my life growing up. And with that being said, there's a level of complacency that I think that I began to have. And if I didn't set a goal so far ahead of myself, then there was just a level of like, I'm okay in this life. Like I can afford to just go drink on a Thursday afternoon. I can go afford to just fuck around or being hungover on a Monday. Yeah. And I think that in order to shift that, I had to set goals 10 times further than my parents ever reached. Yeah. I had to set goals 10 times further than my friends were in the circle that they were competing in.
Yeah.
And so I had to surround myself with people that were billionaires and multimillionaires in order to just understand the level of work and understand the level of dedication it takes to be at that level. And then I also looked, and it's not just a monetary thing. So I like saw people that had 4 or 5 kids that were all grown adults that loved hanging out with their family. And I think the measure of being a good parent is when your grown kids want to hang out with you. And so I saw those and I was like, I want that. How do I emulate that? And I saw finances. How do I emulate that? So I had to just extend the bar of what I wanted to achieve further than I ever thought of that could be possible in order to get out of the situation that I was in.
You know, that's such an interesting concept too, just growing up a privileged life. Because it's parents, no parent wants their kid to struggle. No parent wants, they want their kid to have everything, all the opportunities, all of the, just all the opportunities in life. But there's something when you have everything that it takes away from what you could be as a human being. So let me put it this way. You need to find a purpose bigger than anything that you could have ever even dreamed of. So it's like Will Smith's kids. I don't know them, but one is a hugely successful rapper. Another's a singer. They seem like they found purpose outside of their parents, you know? So it's there's something about struggle that I think we need.
It's also not sexy. So I've been trying to figure out how to communicate this theory. Yeah. The American story that Americans love is the immigrant family that comes and they make it, right? Yeah. It's the Americans love the underdog story.
Absolutely.
And so when you're not born in that underdog story, and then you go through life with, okay, well, whether I make it or not, if I make it, it's attributed to how I grew up. So like I have successful parents. So when I was like, whether I make it or not, it's always going to go back to, well, you grew up privileged. You grew up with all of this. So then like I was never able to own anything that I was ever accomplished. And I think that was a big struggle for me.
Mentally.
Was nothing I did was good enough because I was always like, well, your parents are blah, or your brother is the star quarterback. Like it was never something that I could ever have. And there was a level of insecurities that I had of I was never good enough or I never earned something on my own. And so that in order to overcome that, I had to set goals that surpassed anything that they even thought of. So like,
it's like the Elon Musk story.
I don't know that story.
No, I mean, his dad was wildly successful.
Really?
Insanely successful. But
yeah,
Elon Musk.
Yeah. And you don't know
one of the most successful human beings to ever walk this earth.
Yeah. And so it's just, it's setting goals that are, at least for me, what helped me was setting goals that surpassed anything that I could be compared to. And Alex Ramosi has the same thing, right? His dad, successful doctor, his driving force was just being better than his dad, or making more money than his dad, making more money than his dad has ever made. And so to make this full circle, it was basically, I had to set goals to surpass anything in that I could ever be related to.
I love that. Who's your dad? And how has he helped you in your life and your success? Whether that's been something where, I mean, obviously you have a burning desire to surpass, but like, how has he helped you out in any way towards, Stargazing Homes, towards like just even with your mindset or financially or anything? Like, who is your dad?
So take this step back. My parents are the most amazing parents like anyone could have. Been married for 30 plus years, have 2 older brothers, a little sister. Yeah. I've never seen them fight in front of me. obviously parents will argue, but we live in such a great household. And that's all I knew. So I never knew anything else but that. And it wasn't until like I saw my friends' parents that I ever saw the other side of how parents could be. And so my dad is a film and TV composer, and my mom is a fine artist. But my dad is very conservative, and my mom is very big thinking. So everything we have in our life is the combination of both of them. And if it was up to my dad, he'd probably live in a 1-bedroom home and like drive like a Nissan or something. Just because like now my dad likes nice stuff, but like it's my mom who always pushed my dad to do more than he could have ever thought he could have done. And so it's the combination of both of them that really makes them who they are. And that's all I've seen, right? And so that's all I've known. And so my dad's a TV film composer. My mom is a fine artist. My dad was a jazz trumpet player before he became a TV composer. He's a Grammy award-winning composer. And that's Papa Isham.
That's what's up. What's his first name?
Mark Isham.
Mark Isham. Okay.
Mark and Donna.
Just for the audience.
Yeah.
I want them to dive into that. So stargazing didn't come out of thin air. Like, how did you gain the knowledge to even build this business? Like, what did you do? YouTube Academy, man. Ooh, YouTube University.
Yeah, that's literally, I think that there's a whole discussion to be. So I'm a college dropout. I went to school for football. And then went to San Diego for 3 years, moved to New York City, and started doing marketing. And everything I learned in film is from YouTube. And so when I realized I needed to make the shift to assets class and residual income, I was like, I want to get into real estate. I need to learn this. So I learned how to renovate an Airstream off of YouTube. I learned a test away from getting my general contractor's license. Learned it straight from YouTube. Everything I've learned from YouTube and everything I've built is from YouTube, and it's all free. And so there's so much opportunity to learn things and start something new without the barrier of money to at least get started. Yeah. And I have a motto, I have a tattooed on my arm, but what if it turns out better than you could have ever imagined? It just gives me permission to do it. It gives me permission to shoot the first shot. And I think shooting the first shot and then looking through the scope and aiming is the number one thing that I struggled with, that I had to just then overcome, was just do something. Do something. And then correct after you've done the something.
Yeah, action is always the key, man. Most of us have all these thoughts in our heads and they stay there. So I'm proud of you for actually taking action. How'd you come up with the name?
Stargazing Homes.
Yeah, how'd you come up with Stargazing?
Well, Stargazing just because of the concept of stargazing. Again, free amenity, free experience that I didn't have to pay for and the guests didn't have to pay for. But it was a hell of a branding thing, right? So my marketing mind went to what's something that people are going to search on SEO. So like a fun pastime is just laying and looking at the stars, and kids do it. Kids have twinkly stars in their ceilings, and what's something that I can kind of steal from a branding standpoint. And then, so I bought stargazing.co. I'm trying to get stargazing.com, but I have stargazing.co, which is where guests can book it. And then Stargazing Homes is where investors can buy homes. So the business of Stargazing Homes is we're a tiny home manufacturing company that focuses on short-term rentals. So we help investors from buying the home to starting their short-term rental business and everywhere in between. So we build them the home, we ship it, we help them furnish it, we take photos, we develop their copy, set up their booking channel, set up their property management software, basically from payment to cash flow in 4 to 6 months. And what they need is land, utilities, and permitting. Those are the 3 things that we don't help with, we consult with, and we consult with for free. And so I, for the past year, have done over 250 free consultations with people. And I don't charge for my time. I don't charge for any of the knowledge I have. I created a free full masterclass on all the 9 steps of creating a short-term rental vacation, from buying land, structures, permitting, all of that. And I give it away for free.
Wow.
So
where can people see this masterclass?
Stargazinghomes.com.
On the website.
Yeah, stargazinghomes.com has the free masterclass, all 9 steps of how I did mine. And I'm not saying that I'm the overall guru, but multiple 6 figures a year on short-term rentals. And this is the blueprint that I used.
Wow, that's amazing. So if someone wants to get started, they just go to your website and you got videos up there.
Yeah, it's literally me explaining this for over an hour of every single step. And I walk you through how to set up basically everything. The only 3 things that we don't handle is the land, because it's just, it's too specified.
It's different depending on your location.
Exactly. And then the same thing for permitting, right? So permitting in Austin is going to be different permitting in Arizona, different terminology. I can't go through, there's over 300 counties in the country. So I can't go, probably a lot more. I can't go through every single county and go through all their permitting, but but I talk about the high level stuff. So high level of like permitting is figuring out how your land is zoned, and then figure out the permit that you need for the type of structure is the high level idea of permitting. And then I dive a little bit deeper into that concept as well.
Okay. So if someone's thinking about doing this, who's your customer? Who's your ideal customer on the business side?
It's someone who's made money and wants to get into short-term rental as an asset class. So someone who wants to get into real estate, knows they want to get into real estate, and then someone who has a decent amount of change. Now, you're not buying. So what's nice about our units is that we maximize profit per square foot of home. So our properties in Arizona do about $5,000 to $7,000 in rental income a month on a 228 square foot home. If you want to get $5,000 to $7,000 a month, you're going to need at least a 2,000 square foot 2-bedroom home in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, right? You're going to need something pretty big size, and those are going to go for $1 million.
100%.
And so we're able to get the same nightly rate for our units as a 2-bedroom, 2,000 square foot home with a 228 square foot home. And we do that because of the architecture and the experience that we offer.
Nice. So that for you guys, it's in the Grand Canyon. So someone across the U.S., where would be a good spot to do something like this?
Great question. National parks or eclectic towns. So anything that people are already going to is what I'd say. Wimberley is a great option, right? Fredericksburg, Texas, Hocking Hills, Ohio. Any place that people are already traveling to and then just want a place to stay. A really good option is find the big city that's within 2 hours from where you're at. Find an hour outside that big city, a little cute town, an hour outside of a big city. That is a great place to start. So, hour or 2 from your home, find the nearest big city. An hour away from that big city, find the cutest little town around that big city.
What do you think it is that attracts most people to experiences like this? Because it's not the grand Thailand experience per se, but you're saying like a cute little eclectic town. What do you think it is that attracts people to that, or the Grand Canyon? Is it just getting away?
As our world gets crazier and crazier, people are looking for peace. And people find peace through nature, and they find peace through their loved ones. And so the concept of putting those two together in a romantic getaway is what I'm betting on.
I love that. And that does make a lot of sense because, with our crazy social media ridden world.
Yeah. Social media, the election's coming up. Like, no matter what political party you're a part of, the amount of hysteria that comes through just the process of election makes people want to just get away. So politics, social media, the news, you turn on the news is they make money off of selling chaos. And so you'll never see on the news a man adopting a dog like you're going to see a car accident or a fire or something crazy, right? So as our world gets crazier with news, social media, I mean, the amount of comparison that people do on social media makes people anxious. And so basically the concept of selling a way to decompress from all of that, but then also from a psychological standpoint, how can we go back to how can we hook onto their childhood is a thought process that I try to think with when developing our properties. Is what can we do to make them remember being young, and whether that's reconnecting with their spouse, a married couple. Our first Airstream, we had a family come in, and this kind of solidified what I'm doing now, of that I'm on the right path. Is we had a family come in, and phenomenal family. They stayed for 3 nights. Husband, wife, 2 kids. Checked in, checked out. Everything went great. Husband messages me 2 days later and says, "Thanks, man." And I go, "Yeah, no problem. Like, thanks so much for staying with us." He goes, "No. For the last 10 years, me and my wife been kind of struggling on and off, and COVID was really, really hard for us financially. And for like first time in that last 10 years, I saw my wife able to drink a glass of wine and just relax." Wow. And it re-sparked their marriage, and it reset basically them. They were able to remember why they fell in love and what started their relationship. And nostalgia is what we're trying to sell and what we're trying to create in our properties for other people. And so after that message, it brought me to tears, just like understanding the power of what we're doing. And that's the leading force. Yes, it's monetarily successful, but the leading force, and what I tell all the investors that work with us, is that they need to have their why, their story. They need to understand what they're creating because it makes it real for them. Not just the money side of it, but they need to understand what they're actually creating and the impact that they're creating on other people.
That's so powerful. And from what I understand, your property, it's very remote. You're near the Grand Canyon. You don't have TVs. You've got these big windows. So it's just you and your partner. That's it.
2 6x6 windows with a 4x6 skylight. So you're literally sleeping in a box of glass, pretty much. Yeah. And at night, I mean, obviously we have curtains for privacy, but at night it's literally, there's no light pollution. We're a town of 600 people and completely off grid. So we have solar panels, batteries, and septic units. And when you're out there, you play cowboy for a little bit. You play like it's almost this new, going back to hundreds of years of evolution of no technology and just being out cooking some food on the barbecue and just being out in the wilderness.
Man, that's the Lord's work, man. For real, because man, it's just like even I get so stressed sometimes. You know, like we both work a lot, so sometimes I just want to walk outside barefoot and get grounded, and to be able to do that amongst the stars. I mean, it's the Lord's work, bro.
I appreciate that. How do you find yourself grounding yourself being in Austin?
I love Austin. And so, I mean, you know that I travel a lot, and the reason why, and I don't ever want to say never. I never want to say never, but I probably wouldn't move back to Miami. It's just too chaotic. I think Austin is the perfect mix of nature versus city. So I have hikes I can go on. I can go float in the river in San Marcos. I can go take a kayak. You know, so I love Austin for a reset. And now I know Fredericksburg is right there after chilling with you. If I really, really want to reset, or Wimberley, there's just so much around here to just get back one with nature. So I love it as a good base point because of how chaotic my life is.
Yeah, I really like Texas.
Yeah.
I really like Austin. I really like Texas. I like, I don't know, being born and raised in California, I like the people out here more.
They're nice.
Yeah. And so I find, is there, besides being in Austin, do you find a way to like ground yourself? Because the amount of work that you do, like you work all the time, is there something that you do to ground yourself on like more of a daily thing or a weekly thing?
100% on a daily basis. And we talked about it a little bit. It's definitely working out, just lifting weights. You know, you said you never fell in love with it. Somehow I did. And
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to be obsessed with, you know, but that on a daily basis, I take an hour out of my day, hour 15, and I do something hard as fuck. And that's lift heavy shit, you know, and it helps me a lot. But on top of that, you know, I like to go for walks and just enjoy scenery.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's something I've always wanted to, I think it was such a forced thing with football and growing up that I fell away from it. I do manual labor, and that's like my form of working out.
That's part of it, man.
I just like being able to see something at the end of what I've done.
Yeah.
Besides sweaty weights.
Hey, listen, it's not for everybody, but manual labor, you get that what is it? That man bod, you know.
Yeah.
The calluses, you know. So
hey, one day, brother.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So, you said one day?
Yeah.
One day you'll have calluses?
One day I'll have calluses. I get them and then they go away. So
then you're not doing it enough, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me actually switch gears though. We talked about the anxiety of social media. Social media is still a very pivotal part for most businesses. How is it how do you guys use social media?
How do I personally, or how does the business?
You're both. So let's do you personally.
Okay. I don't have social media on my phone.
Okay.
So wow. I don't have, just because I found myself opening up the app just to swipe, like look at my timeline. I was like, what am I doing? It was just nonsense swiping. That was stupid. And then I found when I deleted it, I pulled out my phone to check it, realized I don't have it, and then put my phone away. So there was nothing to check, which opened up my time for other things that were actually productive. So that's one. I have a great virtual assistant that does all my posting. So it's all scheduled out, and I do long form content that gets on YouTube, that gets cut down for short form on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And so all of that just gets posted, and I don't have to, which has to be a switch, because I want to start creating short form content for short form content. And I was doing long form content cut down as short form content. And I don't think that's a good strategy. Just statistically, it's not a good strategy for my growth. When I do focused short form content, I grow better. And so, but again, I won't be the one posting it, and I'll have someone who posts it on the back end of those apps. So there's no scrolling. That's a personal standpoint. For the business, we tap into a lot of influencers, man. A lot of creators that come out, shoot content, and then we just do shared posts. So they invite us as a collaborator on the post, so it shows up on our feed, get tons of followers. And we had a girl come out that did over a couple 100,000 views on the video with tons of comments. And then we'll spark conversation on the comments to get people back and forth commenting, which is a whole nother thing. A big controversy is what is off-grid. And so we have Starlink, but some people say that Starlink's not being off-grid. And my definition of being off-grid is not being reliant on a county or a government for utilities. And so we haul our water, have solar panels, and septic units, which nothing is given to us by the city, which I would consider off-grid. We have Starlink, so people don't consider that off-grid. So, but we'll start that controversy on our own platform just to drive up engagement.
How do you do that?
We'll have third-party people comment on other people's comment. Just talking shit.
Oh, yeah. That is hilarious. Okay, yeah.
Like someone says you're not like this is not off grid. You have Starlink, and you're like you're dumb. You have no idea what you're talking about. This is off grid. So like, and then that person will then comment to that other fake person, and pretend like they're having an argument with fake people. It's great. But then that person will drive engagement, and then other people will see our comments and then share their own opinions on what off grid is.
Okay, I didn't know that there was a debate on if Starlink is off grid or not. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's black and white doesn't exist. What it does, but you know what I mean. Like
I stole
there is
that.
Definitely a gray area.
I stole that strategy from someone else. Someone else had a drop shipping company for dogs.
Yeah,
and it was a dog product, and they posted a picture of their dog product, and they said, send pictures of your dog and we'll give away to the cutest dog. And so a lot of people were just commenting pictures of their dog. And then they hired third-party people to come in and basically say your dog is ugly to everyone that commented. And then everyone just went back and forth being like, who are you? Like don't talk poorly about my dog. And it just drove engagement. Their CPMs went from like $1.50 to like 2 cents.
Bro, nothing's real on the internet anymore.
Everything's fake.
I had no idea that was going on. That's such a smart strategy, though.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure how much I agree with like contributing to talking poorly to people on Instagram. So when we do it, we never go after the person, but we go after the concept of off-grid.
Right, okay.
Or the concept of experiential travel. So it's never like directly targeted to
ethical.
It's what impact do I want to have on people? I never want to go after someone personally, but I'll go after the concept of off-grid all day.
Yeah.
I'll fight for what I think on what off-grid is. So
but going after their dogs, that's like almost going after their person, you know?
That's what I'm saying. So like I won't take it that far, but I took the concept.
I like that. Arguing with the idea, like healthy debate, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but manufactured healthy debate.
Yeah.
Because it's all fake.
But real people will start debating too, right?
And that's but you have to create the argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that actually happens pretty naturally in my socials.
In your sessions?
Yeah.
How does that happen to you?
But here's the thing. And I've said this on other podcasts. I do want people to disagree with me, but I do have a subset of my following that's going to just, everything you say is amazing. And it's not, you know, but it's you know, people pedestal you to a degree, you know, at a certain point, and someone will come in and disagree, and then people will hop on them like, hey, I want to hear their point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what I say isn't law, you know. I'm definitely wrong a lot, you know, but yes, I mean sometimes it just happens naturally when people. But there's some people that are just trolls that just say shit just to get a rise, you know?
Let me ask you this. You being 6'9", jacked, handsome ass dude, carry a level of I don't like the word superior. What word am I looking for? Carry a level of confidence, but also like statue to them in person. Like when someone sees you, and intimidating is the wrong word, but a level of intimidation, just being the physical specimen that you are. How do you think that relates to social media? Because they don't get to see you in actual life.
Well, I just took a trip to Mexico with some people I've never met. I did a trip with random followers, and it was fucking amazing. One of the things they all said was, had no idea you're that tall.
Wait. You did a trip with random followers?
Yeah. So I hosted a trip to Mexico where anyone could join. I mean, if you're like a serial killer, I'll see your profile. X that out. But for the most part, anyone can join.
Were you guys like all living in the same place?
Yeah. We rented out whole, basically hotels that had like 10 units in it or something. You know what I mean?
It was wild.
Amazing experience. Super dope. Yeah.
That takes a lot of bravery. I don't think I would do that ever.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a very common thing around the travel influencer space.
Really?
I have a mixture between travel and all types of content. So, but I tried it out and it was pretty fun. But yeah, one of the things that they did say was, I did not realize you were that tall. And there were a couple, one girl specifically, hope she's not watching, that I could tell I was very nervous.
Oh.
No, I was very nervous. So what was the question again? How does
it relate to social media?
How does it relate to social media? Like people not knowing that?
Do you find that there's the same level of like, and I don't like the word intimidation, but same level of like, do you think that your physical statue correlates to social media at all? Or do you think it's disassociated?
I think it does to a degree. But yeah, because I'm still trying to go off the word intimidating. I don't know how people feel about me, you know, and I don't think that I come across intimidating when I open my mouth.
You don't.
So
I mean, sometimes.
So it's I don't know. I don't think there's much. I don't think there's a correlation that much, but I don't know. That might be a question for the audience, you know.
Fair enough.
I just try to stay in my lane, you know, and just keep
Sit,
preaching
brother.
what I believe in.
I love it.
But I do think that. Are you saying when you ask that question, are you asking if people are intimidated so they're not going to disagree with me?
Yeah. Is there a level of
I think
if you said something in real life and I was not your friend and I disagreed with you, probably not saying it to you.
Oh, okay.
Just because you're of the physical stature that you have.
I don't think it's that. It's mostly, I don't think it's that.
What do you think it is?
I think it's pedestaling. Because of the topics that I speak about and the way that I convey it with the sad boy music and all that stuff, I tug at some people's heartstrings, you know? So like there's an emotional attachment to what I say for a lot of people. And I think with that said, it's like Swifties have a emotional attachment to her. So I think it's a little bit of, you know, I'm gonna protect this guy sometimes, you know.
Do you have a name for your community?
No, I don't.
That they call?
They're amazing people. Like I don't know. I don't have a name.
Swifties, Sacredies.
I don't even want to do that because like I you know, people say fans and I like the people. I respect the people that follow me, and I really feel a depth of gratitude because I wouldn't be where I'm at if it weren't for them. So it's like I don't want to call them a fan or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess the Swifties like being called Swifties, so I don't know. I haven't really thought about that.
Checks out.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to you, man. Oh, I'm gonna have to look at this now.
Yeah. I threw you off.
Threw me off course, but it's all good. It's all good.
I want to make sure I don't mute myself real quick.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I still see your levels.
Keep on messing with this mic.
Yeah, no, you're good. But no, there was a good off course topic to actually navigate. You know, because like little clips like that help drive people.
Yeah.
To even the nitty gritty of the podcast. You know, you start with septic tanks, and we may not go too far. You know,
it's a very boring thing I talk about. Yeah. Very interesting to me. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting when we were talking about it on your podcast, actually. But so, what is like? Walk me through like from the beginning of booking. What is a typical experience like for your guests?
Yeah. So from the guest perspective or from our perspective?
From a guest perspective.
So they will either find us through social media or find us on Airbnb. A lot of them right now, we're about 90% Airbnb compared to direct bookings. They'll find us on Airbnb. They'll either directly book from Airbnb or they'll ask us a couple questions. Typical questions are, how far are you from the Grand Canyon? If we're in the winter, our Stargazing Home unit has water all year round. Our Airstreams and stuff, we turn off the water in the winter. So that's a typical question, is the water on? during the winter months. And then if they want to book, they book. And then they get a message confirming that their reservation's booked. We send them a free itinerary to download. And that gives them best sunrise spots, best sunset spots, best place to eat, etc. And then they get a message 5 days before they check in with a list of what to bring, what not to bring, what we provide, etc. And then they get the day of, they get a message of check-in, bunch of check-in instructions. All of our locks are smart locks, so their last 4 digits, their phone number is the code. They come in, they self-check in, and typically so it's interesting, we try to control as much of the experience as possible, and part of that is showing up at the right time. And so our window is 4 to around 7, which is ideal time to check in. If you're checking in at night, it's really hard to see. And so we're about a mile on a dirt road and with no streetlights. And so all the light is the moon. And so if there's not a full moon or if it's not a moon at all, it's dark. And so we highly recommend getting from that 4 to 7 time period. They check in and off to the races. Whatever they want to do, they do. They have a full deck, a barbecue. And typically people start barbecuing and playing some music and crack open a bottle of wine.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because I know one of the big things that I had issues with in Big Bend was there wasn't a whole lot of restaurants around. They didn't have a grocery store. It was just a gas station. It's kind of similar experience. So you'd advise people to bring food.
Yeah. So we're an hour north of Flagstaff and 25 minutes north of Williams. So you Flagstaff here, Williams here, we're here, and then the Grand Canyon's here. So we're 25 minutes south of the Grand Canyon, 25 minutes north of Williams, and then an hour north from Flagstaff. Flagstaff's going to be your big city. Flagstaff's going to have your Target, your Walmart, your Costco, your Home Depot. Williams is going to be your small, eclectic town. It's like a Route 66 town. It has old vintage cars and old school diners, and it's really, really cute. And then you have obviously the Grand Canyon, and they have their little town. We're in this little subsection called Grand Canyon Junction, which is its own little 600-person, one gas station town. And my idea is I want to develop that area. I want to put in a post office. I want to put in a laundromat. They have no infrastructure. Really? And so from an entrepreneur, that's exciting because I get to develop an area. I get to build things. I get to build a general store. I get to build things that I want to build. And my mind from a business standpoint, they don't have a coffee shop. I want to build a coffee shop. I want to build a diner. I want to build out this little town of ours. And I've been there for 2.5 years. Town of 600 people, you get to know everyone pretty well, pretty quickly. And so the biggest thing is I'd suggest flip to an entrepreneur. I know this wasn't your question, but flip to the entrepreneur standpoint. If you want to do a short-term rental, getting surrounded in the community that you want to do your business in is the fastest way to get everyone on your team. So figure out how you can contribute to the community, and you'll get people backing what you want to build. And I think that's the number one suggestion I have, or the number one thing I did that helped me in my little area was figure out how I can help my community.
It's interesting you say that. The company Core Culture, who I promote for a lot, they do supplements, and they also own a manufacturing company in Luling. It's one of the things that they've done too. It's like the social proof. I've seen it. They are really trying to build up the city of Luling. That's where one of the owners is from, and actually 2 of them. And yeah, it's really helped them with everything in their business. Yeah. So, and they've actually have done short-term rentals in Luling as well. So yeah,
you get the community behind you because there's a power in numbers. Yeah. And so if you get people, what do you think about this company? And then someone in Luling's like, oh yeah, like they built this coffee shop that I love. Yeah. And just that word of mouth is not only good for the brand, but also good for everyone.
Yeah. So how do you plan on doing that?
We made an offer on a commercial building. And so if they accept it, we're going to turn that into a little night saloon because there's nothing to do at night.
Yeah.
And so that's the number one thing that I want to. I don't drink, but I want to do something. So I'm going to put a pool table. I'm going to put darts. I'm going to put it's going to be like an old school saloon, and then on top of that, making basically a U shape. I'm going to do a laundromat, a coffee shop, and a post office.
Nice.
So just basic things that people kind of take advantage of when you live in a big town.
Yeah.
But yeah, something that a small town needs.
I love that, man. Let me ask you this: what are some of the biggest challenges you face building Stargazing Homes? For the audience out there who are interested in doing something similar, I know there's probably some common things that you'd run into.
Yeah, I mean, permitting is a big thing.
Yeah.
So permitting is always going to be an issue, and because it's tricky because what you're doing isn't proven yet. And so when I say isn't proven yet, isn't proven on a large scale.
Mm-hmm.
So I give the example of you try to pitch Uber to people of a grown-ass man is going to pick up your daughter from the bar and drive her home and try to pitch that to people. It's a off-putting concept.
Yeah.
And so, hey, I'm going to put these tiny homes and rent them out to tourists that are coming into our neighborhood, or hey, I'm going to put a bunch of glamping tents, isn't off-putting people who are in charge of making the community better. And so navigating that process with not only your county permitting and the community is a tough situation. And if you do it right, it's great. If you do it incorrectly, you get into a position like our county where they basically banned all short-term rentals on wheels. So now we're having to, my entire business got shut down within 3 months. So last year in November, our county shut down our entire business.
Why?
For that exact reason. The barrier of entry was too easy, and people were putting up tents and really, really poor structures with poor infrastructure, and basically taking photos, putting the structure out there. Guests would come, and the out-of-town people that were not managing their own property and coming in and basically, if something went wrong, leaving their guests stranded. So people would check into these Airbnbs, they'd be run down, or there'd be not quality units.
Yeah.
And would leave their guests like, I don't have power, or I can't even open the door. Like, can you help me? And they weren't running like good businesses. Mm. And so the county was like, we need to basically make the barrier of entry to start a short-term rental business in this town harder. And so they set up an ordinance that basically made the whole system harder. But for people who are passionate, who want to do it, like myself, was a blessing in disguise.
Mm. So I know one of the barriers, I think you said it was having these Airstreams, they can't have wheels, right?
Anything built to all short-term rentals had to be built to their building codes.
Okay.
And so an Airstream isn't built to their building codes.
Okay. What do you think it is that, so I definitely can see why that would turn people off, or the people the decision makers off, because when I think of the type of business you run, I think of what I saw these past couple of days, these really nice glamping spots. But I wasn't even thinking that people are just putting up tents and just leaving people stranded. When it comes to talking with whoever is in charge of doing permitting and everything, like, what do you think it is that turns them off? Do you think their age affects that?
No, I think it's the lack of education that affects that.
Okay.
So one thing that I did that I suggest everyone do with their county is, if you have questions for your county, make up a name. Don't give your real name if you're going to ask stupid questions. If you know it's a stupid question and you're going to call your county, don't give your real name, because you're going to have to talk to them. You're going to have to talk to them again. And if you're the guy who always calls them and always asks stupid question, you're not going to get them on your side. So one, be super choosy about your questions if you're going to call your county. Okay. Try to find the information somewhere else. If you need to call your county for something specific, like, hey, my land is zoned agriculture residential and I want to do a tiny home on wheels, what specific permit do I need and what is the permitting process for this structure on this type of zoning? That's a very specific question, right? Yeah. If you're like, hey, I want to throw up a tent, and they're like, okay, well, what's your land zoned? And you're like, I don't know. And if you're like, blah, 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 like, I don't know. That is something that, like, your county's going to be like,
this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah. Or their response is going to be like, it's not allowed. And then you're going to be like, well, I heard it's allowed. And then you start getting into a banter with your county. So one, if you're going to ask stupid questions, make up names. It's kind of a shitty suggestion, but and two, try to learn as much as you can. That's why I give all my resources away for free. It's because I don't want there to. I've made so many mistakes. I've lost tens of thousands of dollars on stupid things that it was a lack of education on, and really nailing down. The more I learn every day, the more I just try to give out the information for free.
Yeah. And I think you actually educating people on this is great for the industry. Like you said, there's going to be a lot of counties that they don't see the vision. So if you have people coming in and they're not educated enough to actually put up something nice, it could probably close the minds of the decision makers in that county, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting because we're not in a product-based business. We're in a service-based business. So I'll give you an example. If I wanted to buy a Rode mic, Rode is competing against Sennheiser. Yeah. Right? And so if I buy a Rode mic, I'm not buying a Sennheiser. I don't need 4 different types of mics. I need one mic that's going to work for the next 10, 15 years. Right? So once I buy this mic, my desire for another mic goes away. If someone has a phenomenal short-term rental 5 minutes away from me and they do a great job, that person's going to want to come back and refer their friends. So it only benefits my business for other people to do a great job in the area. If someone comes in and does a terrible job, then they're like, I stayed in Valley or Grand Canyon and it sucked. And they're going to tell their friends that. They might go to Zion or Bryce or Page instead. So it actually deters away from my business rather than enhances it. So I want my competitors to do well, and I want them to do actually amazing so that they refer their friends, they become overbooked, and the fall over goes to me, or vice versa. So it's not a commoditized product like a microphone. It's we're selling nights, we're selling stays, and we're selling experiences.
It's actually a great mindset to have that I think a lot of business owners don't have, because there's more of a scarcity mindset, which in turn will actually hurt the industry, you know?
Yeah. Now it's a different thing. If you're selling like chocolate bars, you don't have to have a scarcity mindset. Just have people fall in love with chocolate bars. It's Patrick Bet-David has a really good book of Choose Your Enemies. Choose Your Enemies Wisely. And what I got from it is basically you're going to have an enemy, but declare your enemy correctly. So my enemy is not my competitors. My enemy is the hotels. So I'm competing against the hotels. I don't want people staying in a hotel. I want people staying in short-term rentals. I want people staying in this type of experience. I don't mind that if we have tons of these experiences, it's only going to make my business better. I'm only going to have to then outcompete my other business. What I want to do, Uber, their competitor wasn't Lyft. Their competitor's taxis,
which they demolished.
So it's choosing who you want to go against in battle against. And for us, we're wanting to fight the hotels. We want to fight, and that's a big competitor. They have tons of money,
and they want to fight y'all too.
Yeah. So the ordinance that came back was hotel lobbyists that actually pushed that ordinance through. Because we were pulling so much tourism away from hotels that have been there, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, everyone who's right next to the Grand Canyon, these big Goliaths of companies, we were taking away from their tourism. So they pushed this new ordinance through.
I'm going to be completely honest. If I'm going to the Grand Canyon, I'd much rather stay stargazing than at the Marriott. It's just the whole experience, you know?
Well, you let us know. We'll block off some days for you, brother.
For sure. Appreciate that. How do you guys, well, you said that you get 90% of your bookings from Airbnb?
Yeah.
Do you have plans to try to flip that in the future?
Absolutely. So we pay 3% to Airbnb. The guest pays 14%. That's 17% out the door. Wow. If we do direct bookings, we'll pay 3% to a process payment or a payment processor, but we'll be able to keep 14%. 14% will handle like that increase of revenue is amazing. I mean, that's straight to the bottom line because it's income that we weren't receiving otherwise. And so the missions definitely do that right now because of the new ordinance and because the units are Airstreams and not the intellectual property that I want. We basically, the 2.5 years that I just spent building my business is gone. And I now need to restart, but I'm restarting with the mindset and the brand new vision of what I want our properties to be. So once our properties are built, so we're doing 7 new builds this year. Once those properties are built that are our designs and our look and our homes, I then can push out social media heavy. We're already doing some social media for Stargazing Homes, but it's really pushing out. I don't want to push out a camper or an Airstream because, again, I'm pushing out someone else's brand.
Right. So how does the last couple of days I've been helping you film some podcasts. So where does that lie in your grand plan? What's your podcast and where does it?
Yeah, podcast is called Experiential Travel, and what's been most successful for me in my entrepreneur life has been giving away, exchanging in abundance. So someone hires you to do a video. You do that video, plus you shoot some stills, plus you shoot some BTS. Then you give them a Dropbox folder of the video that they wanted, 7 stills, and a full BTS video of how you did their things. They're gonna be like, dude, this Sacred guy, he gave me so much stuff, like this and this and this, and that's always helped my business because it allowed the word of mouth. Like for my marketing company, I never ran ads. I never did cold calls. All of our business that we got was word of mouth. It's because we exchanged in abundance. We gave so much value that the person had to tell the other person what a great job we did. So I'll give you an example. What we did for Stargazing. We were pitching this guy. He reached out to us. Hey, I have a tiny home village in Tennessee. I'm thinking about buying one of your homes. Can you tell me a little about it? Told him, gave him the whole pitch. He's like, yeah, I'll think about it. Didn't hear back from him. I go, no. Never heard a word from him. I sent out one of my creators from San Diego. I flew her down, booked his spot, paid for it. She shot tons of content, came back. I uploaded it to Dropbox. Now I haven't spoken to this gentleman in 2 months. Shoot him a call, picks up. Trevor, I need you to check your email right now. Call me back. Hang up. Checks his email. 45 pieces of content for him to post. Calls me back. I go, Trevor, this is yours. Post it. Run your business. I hope this helps with your direct bookings. Now, this is not our units. This dude ghosted me. Immediately calls me back and goes, Lex, I've never had anyone do this. Let's get some tiny homes. Let's re-talk about what you're doing and how we can get involved.
Wow.
So just the mindset of exchanging in abundance has carried me so far, and it carries everyone. That's why Alex gave his book away for 99 cents. That's why Alex does this social media stuff. You build credibility in being able to give away as much free stuff as possible. So the podcast is just another avenue of teaching entrepreneurs how to start short-term rentals. So I had a guy buy a tiny home for me and go, I saw 4 of your videos. Like I loved it. I was in. And so social media is just a tool, and podcast is just a tool to push out free education because I don't want to gatekeep it. Information. You give away the secrets for free and charge for the implementation. I'm giving away the podcast. I give away the masterclass. I give all that. Now, if you want help actually doing it, we got you.
That's so smart. That's definitely the Alex Hormozi way. I can tell you're a big fan.
I like ethical people in business, and I think that he's a pretty ethical dude.
Absolutely. And I mean, with your business, it seems to be working. I have a friend named Shark. He does the exact same things, and he just won the school game. So it works. It absolutely works, man. Well, what time is it? An hour and 12. I got a couple more questions.
Fire away. Yeah, all the time in the world, brother.
All right, cool. I thought you had to. Oh, you don't have to be anywhere till 6?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Right now, there is at least one person in the audience who wants to do what you do, but they don't know if they can do it. How do you deal with self-doubt?
I was going to go back to Alex.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, define self-doubt.
Limiting beliefs. They don't think that they deserve it. They don't think they can do it. They don't think they can actually come up with the funds to start a short-term rental business. They're just doubting that they can do it.
Okay, well, doubt comes from a lack of education. So if you want to, I mean, this is how I see it. Doubt comes from a lack of education. Education contains words. Words can be defined.
So educate themselves.
Yeah. Because if you know exactly what to do, then you won't have self-doubt. And if you don't know how to do it, then you have to learn it. And if you don't know how to learn, you have to learn. All learning is understanding the words. Where people get tripped up, if you're going to learn cameras, right? I want to learn how to light a studio, but you don't know what a key light is. You have to define what a key light is. So what's a key light? A key light is the main light that's going to be hitting your face, right? So then what's a fill light? You have to define what a fill light. A fill light is the secondary light that's bringing up the lights on the other side of your face.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, well now I know a little bit more about how to be a DP. So then it's like, what's a DP? A director of photography. So it's just defining the nomenclature of the subject that you want to learn. Absolutely. I want to learn about septic units. What's a septic unit? Septic unit is a container where all poop goes. What's a leach field? A septic unit goes into a leach field. To find what a leach field is. So education is the basis of doing anything. You have to know what you're doing. But again, you don't have to know everything before you start, but you have to at least be able to want to learn as you go. And so if you're going to do this podcast, the first podcast, and this is self-admit, I hope I'm not putting you out, didn't look how it looks now.
Looked terrible. Please put it out there. Back. People go back and watch.
People go back.
Great conversation. It looked terrible.
But right. So then you're like, okay, well, I want it to look better.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to light, what's the first thing you're going to do? How to light a podcast setup. And then you're going to figure out, okay, we're going to throw our key so we're shooting against the shadows, right? You're going to put it at a 45. So if I'm turning my body this way and the light's coming from right here, it's going to hit my face like this. It's going to create a Rembrandt here, right? So you're learning all this stuff. You have a perfect fill right here that is, and it's on a softbox that allows directional light to hit. So it's learning all of that and it's wanting to learn that. Absolutely. So self-doubt comes from a lack of education. To be educated, all it is defining words of the subject that you want to learn. And where people mess up and start taking when people drop their focus, it's because they've gone past words that they don't understand.
Right. I love that. And I love that you use my podcast as an example. Because even when I started this, I've been filming for a minute, but I still was like, okay, what's the best way to light this small room? at the beginning, trial failed, in my opinion. You know, you can see us, but you know, I feel like the lighting could look better. So I'm like, okay, how do you light a small room? Okay, what do I need? Okay, shoot again, like you said, let's shoot against the shadow. So it's like, yeah, I've been filming for a minute, but this filmmaking, shooting videos, you could probably learn it the rest of your life and still not know everything. You know what I mean? So it's also having the humility to admit that you don't know shit.
I'll take it a step further, and I wouldn't say that you won't know it. Once you get to a point of competence, you start getting into the realm of subjectiveness. Meaning the way you lit this is really well lit. And from a practicability standpoint, is done correctly. If you wanted to make this better, it comes down to now your preference.
Right.
And it's your subjective opinion on what looks the best.
Right.
Blue lights instead of red lights, right? Yeah. And that's where the artistic standpoint comes from. If I wanted to design a home, you're going to frame it the same way that every other home is framed. The way I run my electrical wires in a home might be different than another electrician. That's the artistic, subjective standpoint of it. So, but I want to go back and I want to be very tactical for your audience here.
Yeah.
If you wanted to learn something, any subject you want to do, the first thing you need to do is start defining the words and the nomenclature in that subject. Then, and if you find yourself saying this is too hard, or I don't want to do this, or I'm going to do something else, it's because you've gone past a word you didn't understand. Go back, find the time that you did something good, or that you understood what you were learning, and then find the word that you don't understand, and then keep on going.
Love that.
And that's what's helped me in my life. And from a very tactical standpoint, I'm not saying that this is what they have to do. I'm saying that this is what helped me. Anytime I felt like something was too hard, it's because I went through a word that I didn't understand. I just had to clear it. Yeah. I had to make sure that I understood it and fully understand that word, and then I can keep on going. So self-doubt for me came from the lack of education. Lack of education was because I went past words I didn't understand.
Absolutely. And yeah, it makes sense. It's even anxieties comes from a lack of knowing what's going to happen. So it all goes back to that. So yeah, that's great thought process. What do you think? Why Stargazing Homes? Why short-term rentals? Why the Grand Canyon? Why experiences like this? Because there's trends in the industry.
Yeah. Well, short-term rentals, because I come from a photo background. So long-term rentals, you don't have to, you could just take the photo of it, and no one's going to do a year-long lease. No one's going to do a year-long lease by just looking at the photos. Someone's going to come tour it, check it out, sign a lease, right? So being good at photos doesn't matter for long-term real estate. Rental arbitrage, or let's take wholesaling. Wholesaling real estate is just number of times on a phone. That's all wholesaling is. It's how many phone calls can you make. Short-term rentals is being able to showcase a property online and make it desirable for someone to want to stay. And that's my previous knowledge. I'm good at that. And so I was able to find something I'm good at, something I'm passionate about, and something that makes money, and try to find the synergy between three of them.
So we actually talked about the social media aspect. How do you plan on using social media to drive it in the future?
Good question. So right now, I have an issue. The pain point in the business is that the photos are too good for the experience. The photos, there's a disassociation with the photos compared to the actual experience people have at the property.
Why?
The amount of money invested, the lack of education on building standards that I had when I first built the property. So some of our decks are non-pressure treated wood. Non-pressure treated wood with rain begins to rot, begins to warp. Didn't look like it did when I first took photos of it. So when I first took photos, it looked pristine. Now it doesn't look pristine because of the building standards that I did, which stems from a lack of education. If I knew I had to do pressure treated wood when I first did it, it would still look like pressure treated wood. And so part of that is because our business got shut down. I'm not putting money into the old structures that we have. I'm using all of the money I have, all the resources I have to build new structures. So there is a disassociation between what the photos look and the experience that they have. And so trying to marry those two have been the biggest thing. We went to 2 different locations. I'm not going to tell you which locations. I felt like there was a disassociation between some of the units that we stayed at one of the properties, then the photos appear. Compared to another property that we went to, there was a very similar photos to experience association. And I think that marrying those two is our biggest bottleneck right now. Mm-hmm. So I actually think that the reason why I don't want to push social media is because I need to play a little catch up on the actual business processes of our property before. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to push something, then have first impressions be terrible, and now all the word of mouth is going on is that there's a disassociation.
Yeah, you destroy your brand.
Yeah. So I need to hammer on making the experience better. And that part of that was going to the properties I went to today. Incredible properties, right? Incredible. They've done it amazing. I want to take what I learned from these 2 properties and implement into my business and then go full-fledged on social.
Okay, I love that. Well, I don't know if I should even ask you this, but I'm going to, and we can cut it if we don't need to. What were your thoughts on the properties that you did visit? And like, what were your thoughts on the properties in Texas? Because like I have my thoughts on it from someone who lives here, which I think they're great. But you guys are coming from California, so it's more of a vacation for you,
What are my thoughts as a guest, or what are my thoughts as another business owner in the same space?
As a guest.
As a guest, I thought it was great. Yeah. I thought the first property we went to, I thought was... So I went to 3 different Airbnb properties. The first one I didn't do any... I just stayed there for fun. And I thought it was really good. I thought the units were too close together. I thought that they did a really good at just the overall aesthetic of the property, but there was things that I would change.
That's one I didn't see with you.
No, the first one that we did together, I loved. I think that I understand from a guest standpoint, phenomenal experience. Like, came in, stayed. They had communal amenities that I loved. The unit was super, super clean, smelled great, had phenomenal experiences throughout the whole, all of the different units. And the second one, same thing. I thought the second one was an even elevated version of the first one in terms of amount of money that went into the property. Each unit for the second property seemed more expensive. Like, I could tell they spent more money on the actual furnishings and inside everything. Now, you can also tell the difference between what has been stayed in more than the other unit, right? And so I think that the first unit, they do so many, like, there's a new person in there every single day. And when you don't own the home that you're staying in, there's a level of, I won't say the word incompetence, but there's a level of leisureness and lack of responsibility when you stay at a property that I think some people have. And that the word wear and tear is real.
Yeah.
Properties go through wear and tear when there's a new person there every single day.
Yeah. And
especially when it's on vacation and you're drinking and you're with your partner and you're using all services. Like, there's definitely wear and tear that happens in properties, and that's visible when you're at these when you're at these beautiful resorts.
And is that something that you plan on counteracting with the new properties you're building.
It's interesting. I mean, there's strategies against it. There's going to be wear and tear on every property.
Yeah.
So you're never going to be able to defeat wear and tear. But then how do you circumvent? So like, for example, suede couches. If someone has a wine stain on a suede couch,
Yeah.
you're getting a new couch.
Yeah.
Or it's very visible to the next person, and the only thing that next guest will see was, oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
This is not clean. So choosing like a leather couch, for example, just because people are going to be staying there spilling stuff.
Yeah.
Those things definitely go in my mind when designing my own property of what is used and then what can I. And okay, another thing is like drywall. Doing drywall instead of a canvas structure. Because the canvas structure, if someone burns it or rips it or something happens, you're replacing the entire tent. You can't just replace a canvas structure. So if you have a geodesic dome and someone slats the geodesic dome, you're buying a brand new geodesic dome. And compared to a drywall, if someone scuffs a drywall, you could just paint over a drywall.
Mm.
So it's really designing a property aesthetically so that it can handle wear and tear, and you can do maintenance on your wear and tear and keep it looking brand new for each guest that comes.
And you didn't think about that at the beginning?
Absolutely not.
At all?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But again, comes from a lack of education because I just didn't know. I didn't know. I wanted to get into the space as quickly as I could, and that's what I did.
Right.
And so I wouldn't change anything that I've done, but I would have. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And it makes me think now of like, well, what don't I know now that I'm going to be shooting myself in the foot for in 2 years? And I'm trying to train myself of what does 2 years look like? What do I wish I did now that 2 years in the future, Lex is going to be like, wake up.
Right.
So
I mean, it's a lesson that we all learn in life because, I mean, ready, fire, aim, you got to do it. And it's the same shit that I went through with my party buses. My first bus, bought a school bus, we spray painted the whole thing. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Put a stripper pole in it.
I mean,
put some LED lights.
Spray painted the whole thing. 50 cans? How many cans of spray paint the whole bus?
Probably between like 50 and 100 cans, something like
Wild.
that. I don't remember. It was so long ago, but we spray painted the whole bus. We did everything wrong, bro. And it's just like video. I bought a bunch of newer lights. They're actually in that closet right there. It's just like, yeah, it's not gonna get the job done. So you gotta try first. You gotta experience and understand that, okay, this equipment's a lot better than that equipment that I had before, but you won't know until you try, you know?
And you also have to, you have to know that you like it, because if you're going to be, if I started a short-term rental, I spent a year building the perfect tiny home and I started the business. And then I realized I hated short-term rental business. I just put in $250,000 on a property that I now don't even like operating.
Absolutely.
There's a level of there. Like if you bought all aperture lights, realize you hated film, you now have $1,200 lights that you're like, what am I going to do with? Yeah. Start with the newers, fall in love with video. Okay, I like video. Now time to upgrade. Yeah. So that's kind of the same exact thing that I went through is I wish I did it earlier. I wish I did the first one Airstream and not 3 Airstreams. Yeah. I wish I did one Airstream, but same thing is I fell in love with the business. Now it's time to elevate into the top tier units.
I love that, man. Well, it's been great talking to you, man. I have 3 more questions.
Fire away.
First question is, what's the question that you wish I would have asked?
What does the future look like?
Lexington, what does the future of stargazing look like? Or what is were you talking about in general?
I don't know.
Yeah, what does the future look like for you?
I'm gonna raise money. I'm gonna do a real estate fund, and I'm gonna raise money. I'm gonna do 62 units in Arizona, like a 62 unit resort, somewhere in there, somewhere in that key range.
Yeah.
Maybe 34 to 62, somewhere in there, and then I'm gonna do another one in another market, Page, Bryce, somewhere in Utah, maybe Texas, Tennessee. So thinking bigger. I think there was a limiting belief on that I wasn't able to accomplish certain things, or I wasn't at the stage, or I haven't done enough. I don't have enough credibility, and it's setting that goal and then realizing like, so my strategy on how I'm going to get there is keep doing the podcast. I'm going to build the units that I want the 64 unit to be. And I'm going to build it so I can show proof of concept that I've built it and that there's rental income. Because I've already shown proof to any investor that there's money in the market that I'm in and that there's occupancy rates. We're doing $400 a night in our Stargazing Homes with an 85 plus pushing 90% occupancy rate.
Wow.
In Arizona. I have that proof. I have that social proof, and I can show any investor that there's a market there. With that being said, I don't have the specific unit built that I want every unit to be in the Grand Canyon for the resort. So once I build that, which is happening this year, I'm able to say, here's the rental income. Here's what the unit's going to look like. I want to do this at scale. And that's an easy ask. And anyone would be interested in that because they have proof of the specific unit. They have proof of the market. And then now it's just a matter of someone with the vision behind the business, which I'm hoping is me.
Love that. I don't know if I can ask you this, but what is, I don't know if it's like secret. What does the unit look like? I'm actually super curious. Like, do you have any like 3D renditions you can maybe show me?
I don't, but I'll tell you, it fits perfectly on brand with the name of the company.
Okay. I love stars, so I'm actually super curious. I'm a huge like space nerd.
If you can think of what you just said and put it in architectural forms.
So many ways you can do that. Okay, well, I'm curious. I'm super curious. Okay. How can my listeners support you?
How can your listeners support me? Keep listening to you. That's how they can support me. I think what you're doing for our society, and for human beings is really important. And I am on team human beings and team happiness. And I think that's what you provide. So I think you and I are playing the same game. If you expand and look at the universe as the universe and not as Americans or finite as Austinians versus Californians. If you look at it from the universe, I think what you're doing is such a net positive for society that they could support me by supporting you.
I appreciate that. See, this is why I keep people like this in my circle. No, I appreciate that a lot. But for the listeners, I'm going to actually put your links in the bio so you guys can book your homes, or if you're interested in starting your own business, we'll have all those links in there as well. So, last question. What is the biggest takeaway that you want my listeners to have from listening to this conversation?
Take the risk. And if it helps play out the worst case scenario. Like the worst case scenario is I live in one of the Airstreams and I do all the cleans and I go bankrupt. Like,
at least you're in nature, right?
I mean, like, I just boiled down worst case, like reputation destruction, I'm not going to die. So what's a layer above I'm not going to die is I go to jail. I'm not going to jail. I haven't done anything illegal. So what's above that? Reputation destruction. Everyone thinks I'm a piece of shit. I can live with that. So boil it down to like the worst case scenario and then understand that it's not going to be that. So then why not take the risk?
So powerful, man.
Because what if it turns out better than you could have ever imagined?
Absolutely. It was great having you on, Lex. I appreciate this. We got to do it again.
Appreciate you, bro.
We out.